Well, Dr. Hilton, you're not alone. You're like others in the medical field. You say that the research collected on this drug, however, does actually not justify its use for COVID. Different than what Dr. Corey is saying. Explain your position and why you have it.
I am cautious to rush to judgment because we saw the same thing with hydroxychloroquine. We saw the same thing with convalescent plasma, with remdesivir. At this point, what we need is to instill trust into the community is tried and true tests. And what is that? That's prospective studies, double-blinded, randomized with treatment and control groups, so that we can try to match as many variables that come with the person, right? Are we looking at people with chronic kidney disease and chronic liver disease? Are these 100 million Americans with these pre-existing conditions? If we put that medication and take it out of that cell culture and into that person, what will be the impact on that person's life? And that's what I'm looking to see.
So what would be the harm maybe to add ivermectin to what we already have in our arsenal? I mean, yes, it'd be great if we had the time to be able to have these long prospective studies. We don't really have that kind of time for obvious reasons. So adding it to the arsenal, why is that a bad thing?
Right. I mean, the same thing could be said with hydroxychloroquine, for instance, right? That was the same argument of why don't we just add this agent? What do we have to lose? But when that double-blinded study came out, Act One, right? What we saw was that an increased mortality, and this is what I want to be cautious about. Like I said, I want a miracle drug. I want my family, I want myself to be able to take something prophylactically. But if its studies come out, if we do what we are trained to do as scientists, if we look at the numbers and at the end of the day, it shows there's a benefit, fantastic, let's do it. But if it shows there's any increased risk that associates with a person's life, every person that dies from it, they meant something to someone. And so we need to do our due diligence to make sure that it's as safe as possible for everyone.
So I have to be clear that, this isn't a belief of mine. This is all driven by data. And I agree with my colleague that we need data. The thing is we need to, this is my job. I'm here to disseminate the data that's uncovered. I think so few people know exactly how much data we have. Right now, in my manuscript, which just passed peer review in a very prominent journal, will be published in 2 weeks, I cover 27 controlled trials with over 6,500 patients. 16 of them are randomized controlled trials. 5 of them are double-blind randomized controlled trials, and 1 is a single-blind randomized controlled trial. So when I hear people asking for randomized controlled trials, I point out we have them. We have thousands of patients in them, each showing remarkable, reproducible, consistent benefits in terms of reducing transmission, reducing deterioration, hospitalization, and reducing death. We don't have any other drugs that do that. And to lump ivermectin in with those other therapies is exactly backwards. Hydroxychloroquine was adopted widely throughout the world with 0 clinical trials to support it. In fact, it was used widely, and I agree with my colleague, it actually did show harm in some subgroups. But then the trials showed that it didn't work, and then it was abandoned. And then the other thing was convalescent plasma, same thing, adopted widely with no evidence. It doesn't work. Even remdesivir doesn't work. And so ivermectin is completely different. We are sitting on a mountain of data, and we're not using it. And I think it's in reaction to all of those prior mistakes.